Hi there, I'm Richard.
It's Tom.
And we're here today to look at the brand new model of the PlayStation 4, the CUH-1200, or the C chassis model as it's kind of known.
Yeah, that's right. It's released without much fanfare, to be honest, but people have started to realise there are some physical changes, and also it's got a difference to its internals, it's fair to say.
Yeah, and I think it's also fair to say that the difference to the internals actually has a fundamental impact on the quality of the experience you get with the console. Not in terms of gameplay, but in terms of aspects such as the noise level, which is probably our number one bugbear with the PlayStation 4.
The biggest contention with it.
It really is. Obviously, the biggest difference that you can see just from this sort of visual inspection is the fact that the sort of fingerprint attracting glossy plastic, that's gone now. And now we've got matte plastics to kind of match the rest of the chassis.
Which is kind of a preference whether you want it or not. But there are other aesthetic changes worth quickly mentioning. There's the changed buttons.
Yeah, you can see that they are sort of physically higher up. So they are actually proper physical buttons now with a tactile response.
The capacitive ones have gone.
What else?
The HDMI, the camera port, when that's used, and the Ethernet are all kind of swapped around.
The other thing, I guess, is the LED on the front here, which is, you've got a kind of longer glow on the original model, and it's kind of shorter but more powerful.
Yeah, that's right. It's sort of a short strip, which shows up better in daylight.
I mean, obviously this is a new model of PlayStation 4, but as we said, Sony haven't really been making a big deal about it, but there are some fundamental changes which we think make it the better machine. One of the big bugbears that we've got with the PlayStation 4 is that it can kick out quite a lot of noise.
Right, so this was my PS4 for a long time, and I've been using it since pretty much launch. We asked Sony for this new model just to test it out, really, and
it's a lot quieter, that's the bottom line, and considering that is our number one annoyance with the PlayStation 4, the fact that this new model is significantly quieter, we actually think that's, well, maybe not a game changer, but certainly a really big deal. Okay, so let's put some metrics to that. How loud is the original PlayStation 4 in a kind of stress test scenario?
On Rocket League, which is probably the worst offender when it comes to the noise levels, it's about 63.7 decibels. If you measure it right against the vent.
So that is the absolute loudest point where we can possibly measure.
Yeah, and it was the fairest way to test it as well. You get the full exposure. And on the new one, it's quite a big improvement. It's 51.2 decibels.
So that's an improvement of over 10 decibels. Now, sound perception, it's a really difficult thing to quantify from one person to the next. Generally speaking, an extra 10 decibels is a doubling of volume. So it's a really marked contrast between the old model and the new one. Okay, so one reason why the new PS4 may well be a lot quieter is that for some reason it is a lot more power efficient. You looked into this, didn't you?
Yeah, right. We had the wattage being measured on each game, and we found about 30 watts improvement on the new model, pretty much for games like Rocket League, Metal Gear Solid 5, it's always about 30 watts.
So I'm looking at your notes here, and Rocket League, you're starting at 146 watts on the older PlayStation 4.
Right.
And according to this, 116 watts on the newer one.
Yes, quite an improvement.
So yeah, obviously it'll be kinder to your electricity bill and the environment, which is more good news. Okay, but it isn't entirely superior to the older model in every respect, is that right?
Yeah, that's fair to say. There is a difference in heat that doesn't favour the new model.
Right, so it's a couple of degrees. We actually measured it with a thermal camera.
Yeah. We took the hottest point during games, Rocket League, and it was about 2 degrees hotter on the new model.
So that was the same also on the menu screens as well. It was like a consistent delta between the two there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the new PlayStation 4 C chassis CUH-1200 model. And, well, what do you reckon?
Whether you should upgrade from your older model to this, I'm not so sure. I mean, it is a big expense. But if you're buying a new one, kind of makes sense just to go for the new one.
Yeah, you have to be quite careful that you're not buying the old stock though, right?
Yeah, they're mixed in kind of the same circulation right now. It's kind of a unique point in the console.
It's sort of like a transition period at the moment, where there's still like, I think the 1 terabyte model, the white one, is still the older model.
Yeah, it varies by region as well. In Japan, the 1 terabyte will be mostly the new version, but you can confirm you'll get the new model if you go for special editions, like the Metal Gear Solid one was confirmed by Kojima himself that it was the new 1200 C chassis model.
Well, that's all we've got time for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to give us a like, and if you want to see more of the same and to see all of our videos in your feed as soon as we make them, please subscribe. That's all we've got time for now. Thanks for watching.